Tennessee adding Florida and Georgia's annual rivals back in '92. Those rivalries took off. They also added Arkansas and South Carolina as yearly rivals back then. Those did not take off. You added Missouri in 2012 as an annual rivalry. It's been a good series. It still doesn't feel like a rivalry. So it's an interesting deal. Which of these take off? You've got to see somebody all the time, and then there's got to be, both teams have to be good, or the other team has to steal something from you, like South Carolina upsetting you a couple of years ago, and then suddenly they're feeling like a rival. Bob, I'll start with you on this one. If Tennessee were to add Oklahoma or Texas A&M on an annual basis, which of those three, if any, is most likely to become a real rival with Tennessee?
I think out of those three, it's Texas up here, and the other two kind of, okay, let's see what would happen with it. But I think Texas, I mean, your states have history. They're connected with each other, going back almost 200 years. Yeah. You've got the real UT thing going. You wear orange, they wear some kind of crap that they call orange.
Burnt orange.
So
crap orange. I think they both have cool orange because nobody else wears their stuff.
So I think all of that.
Texas wisely keeps it to their burnt orange. I haven't seen them wear black yet, but go ahead.
Well,
or smoky gray.
Okay,
or smoky gray, or pink, or chartreuse.
But I would say it would be Texas. I think Texas, a rivalry with them could start pretty quickly. I don't think it'd take a long time.
They're arrogant, like Notre Dame. They think they're the biggest school in the country. Well, they are the biggest school. They think they're the best school in the country. I think that would be the immediate rivalry. Mm-hmm. I think those two schools would hate each other.
We'll see that.
They will look down their nose at you, and you will flip them off their double horns.
Yeah.
But does Texas have a forgotten son that might be the head coach of that said program now that would drive a coach away for more than a decade where he wouldn't go back home? It's Oklahoma. And it's because of, if you have Josh Heupel and you have a protagonist in the storylines that build into it, that's why I personally believe, I think Josh Heupel makes sure he does everything personal to drag Kentucky for some reason through the dirt every year because of a family tie. I can't speak for Josh Heupel. I don't know this personally. I think Josh Heupel will do whatever it takes at any given moment to make sure Oklahoma has the worst day every time they get together. I could be wrong, but I think somebody might co-sign with me on the
for a guy that's worried about him going back to
Oklahoma,
you need to hang out with Tyler more.
Until they hire him.
Which would be the quickest rival with Tennessee, or any of them?
I think it would be Texas, but I'll say that's true of almost everyone in the conference because again, Texas is going to annoy everybody. I think Texas. We've talked about it before.
They blow up every conference they've been in.
Their fan base is going to drive everyone nuts, and if they played Tennessee every year, Texas looks like they're going to be pretty good. They'll probably cost Tennessee something if you play them enough in the next 5 years. So I think Texas would be the answer, but they'd be the answer for probably 14 of the 16 teams in the conference.
Texas is the antagonist.
Yeah.
If you're looking for one, it's Texas. And I know we're talking football, but I would take that to several other sports too. Men's basketball, baseball.
Because you got the Barnes factor there right now.
Yes. I think it's Texas.
I think Bob listed a lot of the right reasons. It may be silly, but whose color of orange is the real orange? Who's the real UT? I mean, here's the thing. The problem is people around the country consider Texas the real UT.
Yep.
When I've done radio or something other places, and I'll mention UT, and they're like, well, you're covering Texas? We had you to talk Tennessee. Get that every time I say UT. Yeah. So when I used to do CSS down in Atlanta, you would hear, UT, you covering Texas? I think people will get tired of that. So let me give you an answer for that. We got a graphic here. Little info for you. When you hear Texas people start talking about who's the real UT, the University of Tennessee was founded in 1794. The state of Texas entered the Union in 1845.
Preach.
The University of Tennessee is 5 decades older than the state of Texas. And the state of Texas is only a state of Texas because of a few Tennessee volunteers. That's how you got the nickname. To me, that whole real UT thing, just point out, our school's older than their state. End of story. Done. All right. When we come back, let's take a look at each SEC team's most played rivals. Who have they played the most? And is that necessarily their biggest rival? I want to talk about this for all 16 teams. Who's the big rivalry? And it's interesting when you see who these teams have played, you're going to realize, well, how come they don't feel like they're an SEC member yet? Well, it's because all their big games are in some other conference. Come on back.